everybody. My name is Joanne Shango. I am the head of school at the Montessori School Rochester. I am the founder also of the Global Montessori Network, along with Magdalena Pernurska and Mike Flynn and a few other people in the Montessori world. And I'm here today with you on just to discuss some parenting and how we are navigating through this crisis that we're all living in. And I thought that my topic today would actually be what seems to be spiraling and moving around on social media sites regarding the possible plans of different schools and districts to open their doors in September. There's a lot of variables, and a key word that I just said was plans. And I think it's really commendable that not only our government and our health department and the CDC are coming up with plans and doing their due diligence, but also that each different school district, state across our country and across the world takes into consideration what is happening in each different population, because the guidance, the rules, and the regulations would naturally shift in regards to specifics based on population, the size of the school, the size of the district, whether that population has been heavily hit, if it's a densely populated area. All of these things need to be taken into consideration, and I really commend every single school department, every single school district for their diligence in creating different plans. And as they are creating different plans, look at those plans for what they are. They are plans, and they're one of the plans that are being released. But they probably have plan A, B, C, and D, and they might go through F or G as they're planning for so many different eventualities. What they're trying to do is give some content, some information, so that you can begin making your plans. And there's no real answer to how your plans will be in response or reaction to the plans of your school, whether it is your public school district or the private school, the parochial school, the Montessori school, where your children attend. So you want to take into consideration everything that's happening, all of the proposed plans, and base your decisions, maintain your emotional security on the information you receive, the understanding that the schools, whether they are large districts or small private schools, are weighing all of the facts. Hopefully they're in full communication, which I imagine they would be, with their licensing agencies, with the departments of education, with the health departments, so that they can make an informed plan in order to protect our children. That is the goal, I believe, for almost every single educational institution or community that's out there. That's what we've done at our school, and yet the decisions that we make, the plans that we put into place, the expectations that we have, and the trainings that we do with our team members are only part of the equation for you to make your decision. And that decision cannot be made for you. It's a personal journey for each parent on when and how you'll begin to send your children back to school. I know that there's many of us that are eager to send our children back. There are many of us that are experiencing fear or trepidation, and there are many of us that are just uncertain. They're really not sure what the best decision is, so there's a waiting game involved. And so you have to weigh everything, including your own personal dynamics. As a school or district is weighing all of the rules, and there are specific rules that all schools are being asked to follow, and then there are suggestions and recommendations that are also added for consideration. so that each school district or each school is able to do their due diligence with the rules that they must follow, as well as all of the suggestions so that they can put into place what works for their communities. For example, a school that has small classrooms, like 600 square feet or 800 square feet for 30 students, would probably need to reassess what it is they might need to do so that their students aren't in too close of quarters, to mitigate a little bit potential risk, right? Whereas, so they might choose to limit their class size. They might need to, because of lack of space, put together a schedule where students are coming only partial days or fluctuating in that type of manner. But a school that, like ours, that has almost 2,000 square feet, 1,800 square feet per classroom for 30 students, already has the space needed to allow movement and remove that constricted close quarters that might happen if I had those same 30 students in 600 or 800 square feet of classroom space. So the determination of a large facility that has small classrooms would be different than a determination of a school or facility that has a small building with large size classrooms, right? A school that has 3,000 students in their high school would have a different set of circumstances to navigate through and sort through the different suggestions and recommendations that are out there that would apply to them versus a small school with 100 or 200 students in their building. So we have to respect and understand that there are many recommendations, that there are many suggestions in order for each individual entity to make the determining factors of reopening in the safest possible manner for their students. Now you parents then take that information and you figure out what are the individual circumstances in your family. What are the individual needs of your family? If and when, how, what needs to happen in your child's school so that you feel the most comfortable? It might be moving slowly into school. It might be waiting to see what happens. It might be appreciating that a school like ours is doing 90% of their day for the first couple of months in summer outdoors, so that we can bask in the fresh air and sunshine, which is only beneficial for well health. Or it could be assessing what the cleaning, based on the rules, as well as further expansion of the rules to see what these schools are doing. Does that make you feel more safe? Or does it make you nervous that there is an over-cleaning so that healthy germs aren't there and immune systems are then compromised? These are the things that you need to start considering, as well as what's happening in your family. Do you have somebody that's immunocompromised? Have you already had COVID? Is it a risk because your grandparents are at a high-risk age? Is it not a risk because, sadly, grandparents either do not live near us or have passed on? You have to look at all of those risks that are personal to you, but there is no one institution or one set of rules that any school, large, like a school district, or small, like an intimate school like the Montessori School Rochester, can do to say everybody should feel safe now. We believe that we're making the very best decisions for our school population. We are mitigating all possible and potential risks. We are creating the boundaries that allow us to be safe and comfortable in the decisions we're making to continue in our commitment to the development of children and to their education, socially, emotionally, as well as academically, that whole child development, with everything that we're doing. And we're confident in that. And yet, Everybody knows you can create the safest of boundaries, but the purpose of the boundaries is to reduce the chaos. The purpose of the boundaries is to reduce the chaos, but the boundaries will not prevent risk. It only reduces the amount of risk. And the conscionable plans, the time, the meetings from each and every one of our government officials, regardless of party lines, from each of our school districts or our school boards, our private school boards, private school owners, discussions with team members, staff, health officials, all of that is doing the due diligence to create the safest and most optimal boundaries so that parents can then make the decisions that work for them. But the decisions can't be made for you. You might find that you feel more comfortable sending your children to a smaller school. You might find that you're perfectly able to adapt to a 2 days at school, 2 days not at school, which again are only plans. They're just proposed plans. You might decide that that does work for your family. It might be a benefit to certain children. It might be a hindrance to other children. It might be a hindrance to family life. You have to make those determinations, and only you can make that decision of how and when you will begin to integrate your children back into society through schools. I do think it is important for all of us to take those into consideration, without a doubt. But it is personal. I can't tell any of you that with absolute certainty you should return to school and your child won't catch COVID, because that's not true information that's out there. That isn't what's occurring. What is occurring is our hospitals and our doctors, our scientists have made headway in a relatively short period of time, whether we consider that time the past 60 days or we consider that time since back in January when this coronavirus, COVID-19, started showing itself across the world. Scientists had begun exploring it, but what we're seeing in the past 60 days is that they are making headway. The cases are not only reduced, but people are recovering from it at a better rate. And that's what we can be thankful for and grateful for. So we know this already. We know that it is getting better and we've done our job. So how do we integrate? That's personal. That is a decision that you will make that is right for your family. And I encourage you to not be reactionary to all of the different proposed plans that are out there. And then instead, look realistically at what your options are and what works best for your family. And that is looking more closely at your children. I have one child, he'd be okay if we stayed home and did more of the distance learning. This morning, our distance learning platform is really awesome. Miss Maddie's amazing running the distance learning for our elementary students, as are our primary guides and our toddler guides. But my son's an elementary student, and he sends me a message through his iPad because he's in his Zoom classroom, and he says, not all of the kids are at school. And we would naturally think like he's going to be like, so do I have to be at school, right? Like kids try to get out of school, but he loves the distance learning platform. He loves the time in the Zoom room. He loves the information he's going to get. He's like, can you call them and tell them to get on? He wanted his friends there with him instead of looking for a possible out to not having to be at school that day. That love of learning through this distance platform is not only maintaining itself, but in many ways works uniquely well for him, probably because of the platform we've created with our students, but also because of him. There are parts of him that say it is so great to have a bubble for himself where he's not distracted, but he also wants to be with his friends. So long-term, no, but he'd probably be a 50-50 person. Like he would be okay. Now my two older ones, they can't go on like this. They cannot go another 6 months or a year sequestered at home. It's socially and emotionally so unhealthy for them. They are really having challenges. They need to be in the classroom. They need to talk and look at their teacher to get that deeper feeling and sense of communication with them. They need to socialize with their friends on a daily basis, a minute by minute basis. That helps them and expands everything that they're doing and builds a deeper sense of community for them and intimacy in everything that they learn. So 3 children in my household, and if I look at it specifically to the different possible plans that are out there and look at my children and how I would make that personal decision, that personal decision might look different between one of my children and the other 2 children. So too, the decisions you make as you begin to contemplate summer camp, as you begin to contemplate what is fall going to look like for your children. Are you going to stay in the school that you're at? Are you going to look at homeschooling? Are you going to look for a small private school? Are you going to come to Montessori like we do? What is it you're going to do? That's what you want to look at, and you really want to assess it from your children. First and foremost, you have all of your concerns, you have all of your worries, you have all of your goals, you have your economic responsibilities, financial responsibilities to your family, you have work responsibilities, but really take a look at your child. Look at your children and see what is it they need. And do I trust the school that we're at or the school potentially that I may go to enough to believe that they have conscientiously created the appropriate boundaries, are following the required rules, and have assessed all of the different suggestions and recommendations out there to put a plan in place so that the potential of risk is minimized, because that's what we're looking for. We also want to make sure, as we worry about the physical well health of our children and of our families, of ourselves, of our parents, of our aunts, uncles, brothers, sisters, anybody that we may want to ideally are looking for, have begun reintegrating and communicating and seeing and socializing with. We want to take all of those things into consideration, but we want to take into consideration that social, emotional well-being of our children, the emotional well-being of our children and ourselves. Well health is not only physical, and it is not only emotional. It is made up of the heart, of the mind, and of the body. And all 3 have to be considered so that you can truly and comfortably make the decisions that are right for you. That decision might be to join us here at the Montessori School Rochester for our outdoor summer camp. It might be to join the local YMCA camp or whatever camps might be out and available and offering camps for the summer. It might be not doing summer camp yet and instead focusing on your family outdoors and living or traveling up to your cottage. It could be not thinking about summer at all and instead preparing for what you need to do to feel safe and secure for your children to attend school. And no one decision for any one person is the absolute right decision for everybody. Just like no restrictions or recommendations, not restrictions. If it's a rule, everybody follows it. But the recommendations and the suggestions that are out there by the CDC, by the local health departments, they're not right for everybody. That's why there are suggestions and recommendations, and there are rules. The rules they believe are safe or needed to be safe by every single school or every business out there. And the recommendations have to be personal to each situation and each community. All of those decisions then have to be personal to each of you, and I urge you again to consider the social and emotional health, the heart and the mind health of your children, as much as we focus on the physical well-being of our children, because one is compromised by the other always. They're integrated. It's all part of one being. So take into consideration all of those. If you have any questions personally, feel free to contact me, and I'm happy to share any guidance that I have. If you are local to the area and you'd like to take baby steps, we made the best decision possible for our school, and that we were going to open for our community. We miss our students so much. I think all schools do, all teachers do. But we decided to do 90% of our summer camp outdoors. We've invested in outdoor furniture, shelves, materials to actually set up the classroom completely outdoors so that we minimize having to be indoors. That is our extension of the rules, one of the extensions that we're making of the rules that we've already set into place based by our local governing agency, our licensing agency, as well as implementing some of the suggestions and recommendations that we felt were applicable to our school to make sure that it's safe for all of our children, socially and emotionally, as well as academically. I truly trust in the same diligence of so many of the school districts and the parochial schools and the other private schools and Montessori schools out there. Everyone is invested in safely taking care and educating your children in partnership with you. The decision of how and when you do that is going to only be personal to you. I hope this helped you. I know that the memes had me worked up a bit. I immediately made that phone call to our licensing agent. Actually, I sent an email to her, even though I just met with her last week, because they started to concern me as well. Is there something else I need to know? What other factual content do I need in order to continue to make the decisions that are best for our community and most importantly for our children? I know all of the districts out there are doing it. I know each of you parents are doing it as well. Use factual information, trust in the schools that you've been trusting, and trust in your best instincts for the whole child well-being, for the well-being of the whole child, of your child and your community. Thank you all very much. Have a great day. It is back to raining in Michigan. Yesterday it was bright and sunny and warm when we had our goodbye parade with all of our families coming through, and that was wonderful. But we are back to rain, and I take comfort in the fact that the rain, while a little bit chilly and soggy, does bring us more fresh flowers and green grass, so I'm all good. Have a great day. We will see you soon. Bye, everybody.